All right, y'all, let's have the conversation. Mark Henry is again in the hot, boiling water of let me say something because I think I sound smart, and then whoops, I said the wrong thing. Okay, here's the thing. I already just did a podcast about Mark Henry speaking on things that he shouldn't be speaking about when it comes to people's private lives and their health. He was on the Undertaker's podcast speaking on Roman Reigns' leukemia, and it's not Roman Reigns. When you're speaking on stuff like that, it's now you're speaking on Joanna Y, and that's none of your business unless that man gave you the go ahead to speak on that. So I already did a podcast on that if you want to go back and listen. This podcast is what everyone's talking about. So I had to go do my due diligence, and apparently the Briscoe and JBL have a podcast called Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw, okay? Mark Henry was on there. So while Mark Henry, first of all, the majority of the podcast is them reminiscing. So unless you are a diehard wrestling fan and want to hear about how him and Moolah drived up the road, this ain't the podcast for you. Because Briscoe sound like he about to pass out and not get up. Mark Henry was talking about his son Jacob, who just signed to the WWE, and he will be in developmental. This is where all of the sons and daughters will go to get a steady paycheck, some 6 figures, because that is the nepotism of it all. So he put his son where he knows his son will be taken care of because he is a legend. Kind of like Simone Johnson, because her dad is not only a legend, he is on the board, Dwayne Johnson. And how do I know that that's what's going on? This girl has been in the PC for damn near 7 years. Okay? She wrestled probably 3 times, and now she's GM. Alright? She's getting a nice check. That girl, outside of her father's money, is comfortable. So, no different than Mark Henry and his son. And I'm not mad about that. So while he was talking about this, somehow Janelle Grant came up. So he went on to say, and I'm going to read this. I went to the podcast and I listened. So when I found the transcript, this is exactly word for word. So Mark Henry, the most he could say is, you misconstrued what I said. No, we did not. Let's read what Mark Henry had to say and his take on Vince McMahon. And I quote, he is going through a tough time and all of the stuff that happened recently and stuff. I never saw none of that. I never heard no negativity like that. Him playing a damn joke on me was the worst of it. I felt like, okay, that infringed on the business. I don't know what the joke was. That's me. Back to the quote. But it was nothing remotely bad that I had to say about Vince. And I took some heat for saying that before. People are like, you're being insensitive and there are other people that suffered. I said, yeah, but some of those people that you're talking about suffering, their suffering got worse when the money ran out. Like, where was the suffering when you were getting BMWs and $1 million? Did that pacify the suffering? Because if you're suffering, you should suffer all the time, right? Nothing should get in the way of that. I don't know. I just come from a different time. So we're going to pause right there. I don't know what time Mark Henry's come from where he could be comfortable to make that type of comment. I do understand, especially in my field, that being conditioned and being under duress, you'll do things that you really don't want to do. And most people will say, well, why you stay? Why you do that? And have absolutely no the fuck idea about what you're going through. I took the time to read the whole indictment, and you can go back and read that on this podcast. Janelle Grant dealt with a lot from Vince, his old ass, John Laurinaitis, and whoever else wanted a taste of her. This is the same situation that got Brock Lesnar put up off of TV. This woman was given stuff because when she met Vince McMahon, she had already was broke. Her parents had died. She was broke. Vince called himself swooping in. He kept this woman, KEPT. He was giving this woman stuff so she can do favors for him. When she said no, he refused. And he continued to give her stuff. He also threatened to ruin her reputation. Okay? So if she got $1 million in a BMW, sure, she took it. Under what circumstances? No, I don't want that, Vince. All right, well, I'm going to tell you about you sucking my dick and let me doodle all over you. Like, let's be real. JBL went on and said, I agree. I have no idea what happened. That's the first issue that I'm having here. Neither one of them knows what happened. Even though there's an indictment that's been read. And it's been read to a T. And there's people taking this shit seriously. And there's proof in the indictment because there's text messages from Vince McMahon talking to this woman like she's a dog in the street. And when I say them text messages are nasty as fuck, they're nasty as fuck. This is the same dude that had dildos named after Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. I already knew Vince McMahon was an old freak. Most of them dudes from back in the day, Vince age, or a lot of them dudes is bisexual. And Vince did his booking with his dick. If he was turned on, you was about to get shine. JBL said, I have no idea what happened and what's truth and what isn't. And I'm not diminishing any of it. I don't even understand that sentence. That is a cop-out. Because basically what he's saying is, I'm about to say some dumb shit, so let me buff this. I don't know what she said, and that might be true. But what I do know might be true too. So I'm about to say some dumb shit, so get ready. And here it goes. I'm just telling you about my personal relationship. That's all we can speak about. I had a personal relationship with Vince, and it was fantastic. He was very good to me and very good to a lot of old guys that he didn't have to be good to. I can almost guarantee JBL and Vince sat and had like a full-throated, sexually charged, racist ass comments daily. Cracked a whole bunch of terrible jokes. Talked about people like dogs, because JBL is infamous for being a bully backstage. And somehow he kept his job. Mark Henry then added, and I quote, I think about all the times that I was in the office and Mark Carrano would come in. Vince would be like, hey, how many legends are going to be at this event? He would say, there needs to be at least 10, 15 guys that could be at a payday. Call them. He didn't have to do that. So when you saw old guys showing up, Baron Von Rashes and people, and Vince handing them $1,500, he didn't have to do that. He wanted historical presence on the show, but he also wanted to give him a payday. What the fuck does that have to do with what this man does with his dick in the background? I need somebody to explain that in the comments. What in the fuck does that have to do with what this man is accused of doing and apparently did, because she got all the proof that he did with this woman, to the point where John Laurinaitis is like, well, he made me suck his dick too. Did we forget that? If you watch Total Divas, Mark Carrano was fucking terrible. He was disrespectful to the ladies. He is disrespectful around the place. Everybody said it. He got fired quick. But this guy is sitting here like, oh man, Vince gave these old guys a payday, so that means he ain't out here fucking these women and these women ain't fucking him. I'm going to say this because I don't want this to go long. If you do not, hold on, this is a disclaimer for the old heads. If you don't know what the fuck is going on, conventional wisdom will tell you, I don't want to speak on that. I don't know what's going on. I know they're in litigation and I don't want to touch on it. I'll speak on it when everything's said and done and everybody's in their corners and got the verdict or whatever it case to be. But I will not sit here and just make wild assumptions and comments and I don't know what the fuck is happening. You all going up for your homeboys and your homegirls, it's telling, it says a lot about you. I will say this. Mark Henry, you got your son signed to the same company that Vince McMahon built with all his toxicity. And a lot of those guys are still running around that think like you. You better hope your son never gets in a position where he is victimized. And everybody literally will say, well, he ain't suffering because I gave him this. Or he should be suffering prolonged because that's what suffering is. You better hope shit like that don't never happen to people that you love and care about. You better hope. Karma's a bitch. And this is absolutely disgusting. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that would agree with Mark Henry's assessment of Vince McMahon. Do not speak on shit you don't know. You look psychotic and stupid. I'm going to leave it right there. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. And I'll get back to you on the next one. Later.